So these are the basic tools you'll need to do the brakes, the front brakes on a 82 through 92 Camaro or Trans Am. Now anyone who's been following these videos knows I've already taken off my caliper. Sits here, 2 pins. Take your Allen bolts out, take it off, set it on a bucket. But I've replaced mine, so mine's not on here. So we're just going to start with taking the rotor off. You want to get your flathead under this little lip, and if you need to, use the hammer to kind of free it. Rotate it. Pry it off. Once you get your dust cap off, you see a cotter pin there. Remove the cotter pin. Your needle nose pliers. Out it comes. Note the tension of the castle nut. See, it's finger tight, so you just back it off. Remove your castle nut. Remove your thrust washer. And at this point, you can just pull your rotor right off. Look at that big smear of good grease. It's actually in pretty good shape. I'm going to clean all this grease off. I'm going to actually take off this brake shield and clean it. And I'm going to paint my bracket, so I've got a bunch of work to do before we reassemble. So here's the brake dust shield after I clean it up with a little simple green steel wool. I'm just going to rattle can it with a little high temperature silver to make it look good. So when you go to the dry cleaners, save your cheap little wire hangers. They make great hangers for parts when you paint. You see, then you don't get your hands all spray painted, and then you can hang it up and let the part dry. Take a little chip brush and put some solvent everywhere. Let it penetrate. Work with a brake brush. Take all the junk off. I'm going to wash it real good with the degreaser. Get it with a little simple green. Different steel wool, clean one. Work it again. It's looking pretty good. Probably shoot it. So the final wipe down with isopropyl just ensures you get rid of any grease, any oils that you might have missed. That way the rattle can will stick good. That's pretty well masked. I think we're ready to shoot. First coat's a light coat. Call it a ghost coat. Just to soak into the metal. Get it something for the rest of the paint to stick to. Just want to get it lightly dusted. Like so. Up under there in the bracket. I was going to make this mount silver, but I think maybe black will be just fine. Okay, so we're ready to reassemble. Put on all our new parts. We got our brake dust shield all painted. On a rag, you want to clean your races out, because that's where the bearings are going to ride. So you don't want any contaminants or dirt or anything in there. They put a little rust preventative oil. You want to get that off because dust is stuck to it. So get that nice and clean. Bearing out of the box. And it comes with a race, but you don't need it because it already has a race built into the hub. So you can discard the race. You don't need that part. Such a nice new bearing. Now what has to happen is you need to pack these bearings with grease. Big blob of grease. Put it in the palm of your hand. Like that. And then you take your bearing and you scoop it in. You just force it into those rollers. Dig it in there. Dig it in there. And rotate it around, digging it into all the rollers. Like so. Just keep going around and around and around and around. That. And you can look and see if the grease is starting to come out the top, you know you're doing good. You've probably got a lot of grease in there. So you can just take the excess out, and you can scoop that in from the top. All right. Scoop that in. Scoop that in. I would say this bearing is greased. So take the excess grease, put it around the edge, you can put it in. There you go. That bearing is packed, ready to go into service. So when you're driving the seal down, if you have two hammers, that makes it a little easier. Then you go evenly around the whole thing. Less chance of having any distortion or problems. So, same as before, clean our race out, a little solvent on a rag, get it nice and clean, get off their rust preventative oils and whatever dust accumulated during shipping. Drop in your greased up bearing, you're ready to install. You can lift the rotor into position. And there you go. Thrust washer in. There's a little notch. Goes here. Like that. Take your castle nut. Put that on. The castle nut is 1 1/16", so you can run it down till you're on there, nice and snug. That. And then what you want to do is back it off just 1/4 of a turn from full seating. You don't want a tight bearing. You want it to go freely. Everything's tight. Nice new seals, new grease, new bearings. Put your cotter pin in. Gotta get that cotter pin up as far as it'll go. That looks pretty good. Then you want to bend your cotter pin tangs outward so that they don't move around. Alright? Just do that. Some grease in there. Good? Yeah, we're good. That's real smooth. And then take your dust cap. You want to put it on. So if it's giving you trouble, you can hit up both sides at the same time. Get it to seat. Otherwise you might chase your tail for a while. I just want to take a wire brush and clean off the threads of the fitting so they don't have any corrosion or gunk. Brake fluid on the threads. It's good. And then assemble it. Guide it up into the fitting. Get these aligned and start it by hand. Don't cross thread this fitting. Get it going in nice and easy. Jiggle this, whatever you got to do to get it in there before you start hitting it with their 12mm to set it. Take your caliper and you take your plug out, get a bolt, tighter. This is going to go up underneath the caliper like that, so the bolt goes through the copper washer. Copper washer goes to this fitting. Another copper washer goes onto the floor, no, onto the fitting like that, and then this goes to the caliper like that. Okay, I got the hose on. What you might have to do is slide this protective sleeve up just a little bit If you move this little sleeve up just a hair, like a 1/16 of an inch, it gives you more room to attach it to the caliper. Yeah. And then the inside pad goes here with the clip. The clip goes here in the little piston, like that. And the outside pad goes here with the little ears in the bracket, like that. And then the whole mess should, with any luck, slide up and onto the rotor. Yeah, they are. They're good. And that's it. It just slides in. You got to line up the holes with the holes in the bracket. Put a little brake caliper lube on your pins. Caliper lube on your pins. A little bit on the threads, everything. And you'll be able to have it slide really well. But you've got to line it all up and do some finagling until it sits just right. You just kind of line up the pinholes, slide your pin through. Then you want to wipe off all the braking surface with a solvent, brake clean or acetone, something, just to get rid of those oils for shipping before you go drive the car. You need to bleed the brakes. You start with the line nearest the master cylinder, which would be this one, and you have your assistant in the car step on the brake, pump on it, and then step on the brake, and you open the bleeder valve and it squirts out all the nasty old fluid. So that's pretty much how you put brakes on a 3rd gen Camaro, F-body, Trans Am, Firebird, whatever. They're all the same. How you pack your bearings, how you replace your rotors, how you put remanufactured rotors on, calipers on, hoses, how to put your brake hoses on. That's pretty much it. The big takeaway is, though, just make sure that the inboard squeal tab is at the bottom, because otherwise it'll give you grief if you try and make it fit there. It's kind of tight with the hose being new, but yeah, gee, this looks so much better. It's going to be great. We can start throwing more money at other parts of this car now. Alright, thanks for watching. Be well.